Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
I can hear Darren. Oh, I can hear myself now. It's staticky.
That's that voice in your head that
Is
you
yours
hear.
staticky?
It is, but
I mean, I don't care.
it might be too. A lot of times you get a lot of fluorescent. There we
Oh,
go. That's better.
now I'm like really loud.
Yeah. What'd you do to get rid of that static?
Yeah.
These pots are real touchy.
Yeah.
If they're down low on the gain, it gets staticky. When you get about halfway, it goes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe because I dropped it a long time ago.
Yeah, it could be.
Way to go, breaking our expensive equipment. I sound like a country person on this.
You are country. You're a country diva. She acts like she's some like Sex in the City something. You ain't.
Whoa. From Saline County.
Yeah. She's from Saline County.
Michael, can people hear us right now? Oh,
That's beautiful.
yeah. I mean, what's up to my peeps?
All right. Are we rolling?
Michael, we're going?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess good morning if you're out there from beautiful Fayetteville, Arkansas at the Northwest Arkansas Student Transportation Association. Is that right?
Summit, yes.
Summit, yes.
Yes.
With-
So the Rush Truck Group puts on this event for all the bus drivers and
You
like
didn't introduce yourself.
oh caters to them. And I'm Katie Brown, Darren's I'm his sidekick, but I'm actually the communication specialist at the co-op.
Right.
I'm the brains behind this project.
And the reason she says sidekick is because I do have to kick her in the side a lot.
24/7.
No filter.
But this event is so cool because, Darren, they're catering to bus drivers. Like they take them to dinners, they do all this stuff for free, and all the bus drivers can jump on and
Right.
have some fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Well, it's super cool. And, you know, a lot of the transportation directors, as we talk about it, you know, the thing for me that is really neat about this, you heard it over and over. I got to give some opening remarks this morning. And what I would say is how they incorporate even into the title of their organization the students.
Yes, you did a phenomenal job, and even the Ross, the opening speaker, he did a great job. You know, bus driving, it's a tough job.
Oh, it's a tough job, and like I say, you know, the bus ride to school completely can completely set the tone for a kid.
100% sets their morning tone. You're right.
And now that you know, with what am I trying to say, with social media
Ooh.
out there, I mean, you know, a lot of these kids, I mean, they get on there and they want to, you know, kind of show out a little bit because, you know, they're trying to get not listeners, but viewers.
Followers, yeah.
Like with the fighting and all
Yep.
that stuff, it's a tough time out there.
It was pretty cool because when you spoke, the room was full, and we saw a bunch of seasoned drivers. So they
Oh, yeah.
haven't quit; like they're still in the game. It's
Right.
refreshing that they're still out there and serving these kids. Pretty
Well,
cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, obviously, education is a heart business. If your heart's not in it, you don't need to be here.
That's right.
I firmly believe in that. And, you know, it was, in my opinion, you know, talking to some folks this morning, that's absolutely what they say brings them back. You know, I mean, it's been a little bit of a, you know, kind of a rough season in Arkansas education. But again, at the end of the day, I truly believe that we gotta, I mean, let's focus on what we can control.
No, I totally agree. And we have been very blessed to work with the Rush Group before
Oh,
I jump off here.
100%.
I mean, we made that connection when we kind of created my position.
Right.
And they have jumped in and they have, like, donated money to recognize bus drivers. They bought Razorback jackets. We were able to go into all 22 districts, recognize a bus driver. They always fund anything we ask them for. They go over the top, and we appreciate them more than anything. It's awesome.
100%. And I truly do. I consider it an honor just to be able to be asked to come up here and be part of this because, you know, you think about, I mean, to me, this is one company that has, I mean, they have integrity. You know, if they tell you they can do something, they're going to do it. If they can't do it, they tell you they can't do it. You know, we've had several schools buy several buses from them. Customer service, they say, has just been, you know, top shelf. So, yeah, and just incredible people. And I don't know about you, but every time I run into them, they've always got a smile on their face, and it's obvious that they're very passionate about
Yes,
what they do.
always. They jumped in our transportation directors meeting and bought them Chick-fil-A last month too, so that was
Right.
cool. We didn't even ask. They just
Right.
called and said, "Hey, we're coming. We're paying for lunch."
Yeah.
So it's things like that that make a difference for our people, which is awesome. So we're excited to be here. And Darren, I got to witness Darren do a phenomenal job opening up this morning. As usual, he practiced a lot. He said he didn't, but I think he did.
No.
It was awesome. Phenomenal.
I promise you I didn't practice because here's the thing. If I would have practiced, I'd have been looking at notes or something. I didn't have no, I mean,
You did have an iPad.
I did, but the thing was, on my iPad, that was just to remember key people.
Well, it was very good.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump in, and I'm going to go do my job and round people up, but we're going to jump in with the vendor first.
Right.
So I'm going to go grab him, and we're ready to roll.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right, Jerry, you're first on the chopping block. So here, you're going to put these on. Maybe you can hear. I mean, you can probably hear without them, but I always find it a little bit better to hear with them.
Sure.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, introduce yourself and tell us who you're with.
My name's Jerry Shepard. I'm with KLC Video Security.
Okay. Well, obvious. What would you say? The last 5-10 years, school safety has become a huge part of school districts.
Absolutely.
So, and I know you guys have some cutting edge stuff that you guys have put out there. And one of the most interesting stories to me is what you guys did at Wynn just prior to the tornado. But why don't you talk a little bit about that and that system?
Great. Yeah. What's coming in our industry is facial recognition, and that allows AI to find somebody's face. For instance, if you put sex offenders picture into
Right.
the program, it will go through the system, and for the last 3 months, if that person's been anywhere on your campus, it's going to track them.
Wow.
Plus, if you had a domestic relations order, somebody doesn't need to be there,
Right.
you can put that in there. It's going to track whoever's there. If you had an incident where an altercation happened, you can take that picture from the altercation and find out where that person's been and if there's been any further activity without having to search through all that material.
So, so that's kind of top end stuff. But let's just, even for some of the small schools, I know sometimes budget might be something that impedes them from doing some of those types of things. But I mean, the importance of cameras.
It's a game changer. I laugh about it because when some of these smaller districts started putting cameras in classrooms, a lot of teachers had a pretty negative reaction to that. And I would have conversations. I said, nobody's got time to watch you teach history.
Right.
Your principal's not going to watch. Your
Yeah.
superintendent's not going to watch. But what we found over the years, in fact, I have never seen a case where the video in a classroom didn't exonerate a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
I have not seen the one where the teacher ended up having a problem because of the video. It's always the other way around.
Yeah, I think of a particular instance that I'm aware of that, a kid made an allegation that the teacher had cussed her and hit her. And they went back and rolled that beautiful beam footage, and that was nowhere near the case.
Yeah.
So.
It helps with parents who deny that their child has an issue, and when you can show them the video, it's kind of hard.
Yeah. I can remember. I've got a quick story about that. When I was a principal in one of our districts, actually, but it was a bus discipline thing. He was their child was one of two redheaded students. The other one was a female, and much older than he.
Watch it.
Yeah, so we watched it, and the mom squinted and said, "No, that's not him." So at that point, I just smiled and said, "Well, that's okay. Whether it is or you think it is or not," I said, "I've got enough here that we'll be spending the rest of the week in ISS." So
That's funny.
yeah. So what brought you to the security side, business or industry, I should say?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. A guy named Mickey McFatrick,
Yep.
who
Know Mickey.
brought Tips Taps into Arkansas. He has known our family for years. I married my wife 35 years ago this summer, and her sister, her older sister, was superintendent of Humnoke, and
Yep.
then Humnoke got folded into England,
Right.
and she was superintendent of England for many years. And she was one of those superintendents that mentored a lot of superintendents. So
Right.
there are still superintendents around the state that she started their careers. Tony Protho
Yep.
is the director of the School Board Association. She's one of her early mentees. And so I just knew a lot of people in the industry, and Bill King, who owns KLC, was looking for somebody to represent their product. And Mickey told him, said, Jerry knows everybody,
Right.
and he would be great fit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah. Well, I know. You know, the thing is, you guys have been great to us, and such believers in public education, education in general, that you guys make sure that I mean, you're quick to step up and sponsor if there's a need on you guys that can step in. You fill it, and we really appreciate that about you guys. You know, you talk about knowing folks but that's the key to any part of this is the relationship piece. You know, especially when you're when it comes to school safety, because you're protecting the very most precious product of school. That's the kids.
Right.
So you got to go with a company that's reputable, somebody you can trust, and somebody you know in your dire time of need, they're going to come running. And obviously, I think y'all check all of those.
I think it's a factor of superintendents. I don't think people really understand the skill sets that they have to bring to the table. They spent a career in education, so they got that down. They've been
Right.
dealing with students for years. They got that down. They've been dealing with parents. They've got that down. And state and federal regulations. But when they ascend to that highest seat, now they have more concrete than
Right.
most factories. They have more windows than
Sure.
anybody. They have the largest restaurant in the county.
Mm-hmm.
They're running a trucking fleet now
Yeah.
that carries the most precious
Yeah.
cargo. They got more roof line, HVAC, windows, and that's a lot.
Oh yeah.
They've got plumbing and electrical and lighting, and there's no way they can know all that. So
Right.
they're real brand buyers. They want to trust the
Yep.
people they deal with because they can't possibly know all those. So
Right.
that's why some of these vendors that you see at schools, they're just trusted.
Yep.
And that's the trust being the operative word.
Yeah, and I think you hit on another key point. You know, the superintendents and those relationships. I mean, if one superintendent gets them in there and his buddy's a superintendent across the county, I mean, he's going to call and say, "Hey, I got a need. Who do you know? Who can I
Right.
trust?" Kind of thing.
And that's
So,
the thing with school vendors. You get one chance to make a mistake.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
then they're going to go back to their co-op. And I think you have
Right.
22,
Right.
22 schools in your co-op.
Yeah.
And then those people have friends at the other co-ops. And
Right.
you're done.
Yeah,
And that's
right.
why school vendors, they protect that. Most of them be willing to lose money even
Right.
if it protected their reputation.
yeah.
Because that's more important.
I would agree. Well, I think Katie's waving me off over there, but she
That's great.
fidgets, but I think so. But I think we've got our next folks coming in.
Okay.
But Jerry, thanks
Great
for
talking.
stopping by, and look forward to seeing you down the road here, and who knows when, right?
Thanks, Bunch.
All right, you bet. Thanks.
Yes, at the same time, we're ready to run. Come on, Ross.
You gonna make Ross stand up, man? Did you hear that?
Listen, I don't listen to nothing he says.
He said he wasn't gonna share a seat with you. She a seat hog? Is that what you're saying? Oh my gosh! Y'all look at Katie's shoes. I just saw those. My goodness, I cannot take her anywhere.
Oh, her office makes Ross have anxiety. He
Oh
loves it.
yeah. We've got one employee honestly that says, "Can you shut your door?" He said, "When I walk by there," he said, "it just creeps me out." Well, you guys go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll start there. How about that, Ross? You want to go first?
Sure. I'm Ross Hoover. I'm the general manager at Rush Truck Centers in Lowell, Arkansas, and Russellville, Arkansas. Started with the company roughly 18 years ago in Little Rock, and truck and school bus pupil service and sales has been part of my life ever since.
Yeah. And Jackie.
I'm Jackie Bell, and I'm a service rep for Rush, and I've been with this company 5 years.
Okay. All right. So, well, and I was just saying earlier, what a great thing this is. I truly think that this. I knew where she was going. She's trying to attack you, I think. But this is a unique event, but I think it's a much needed event. I mean, because these guys, being a recovering superintendent, I'll say it that way. We don't always show the attention and love, if you will, to the transportation people. And I think this is a great way to get the one-stop shopping. And and as y'all know, the best part about a conference is being able, it's the conference within the conference, talking to your peers about what's going on, what's out there. And I know you guys are big supporters of public school, obviously. At the end of the day, I would ask this maybe is, what do we see? Is there anything, for the foreseeable future, bus-wise? Any new technologies, any of that out there that you guys, coming down the road or?
Yeah, well, actually, in the next few weeks, IC, which is the bus brand that we sell and support, is launching for the first time in something like a decade and a half its new platform.
Oh, wow.
So it's called the Next Generation Bus. It's packed with safety features as far as visibility and access and just things as simple as the child walking in front of the crossing gate is so much more visible to be seen.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, that tragedy has happened more. If it's one time, it's too much. But, even that part, putting the cameras on the front of the bus and on the back of the bus, those are things I think, that have come along.
If you walk around our vendor expo here, too, you'll see people like First Light that have illuminated stop signs and school bus signs on the front and back of the bus. And you look at the studies when it's a foggy morning or rain or something like that, and their bus signs are visible from something like 500 yards, where a non-illuminated one would be 20. So
Right.
reaction time for the morning commuter that's drinking coffee, putting on lipstick, whatever's
Right.
going on, has a little more awareness that, hey, there's maybe a child in sight.
Right. Well, Jackie, what got you interested in the school bus industry? What were you doing to pull you into this?
Well, I was the general manager for Mack Trucks for
Okay.
like 20 years, and I was hired from International to go to Summit in Little Rock, and we didn't have school buses at
Right.
Mack. So I got educated really fast on those. And then I got involved with the school districts and realized, just how hard it is for them to
Right.
get the education sometimes that they need and the support that they need. And Summit was big on that, and now Rush, being the same people,
Right.
they're very, very involved with the schools, and the technicians in these shops. It's incredible the seriousness of how you walk in a truck shop and they're putting you walk in a bus shop, it's different.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
know the most
Yeah.
valuable cargo on earth is being hauled in these buses.
Right.
And we birthed this out of the need for some training during COVID. And we've partnered with a lot of vendors, and those vendors are really involved with a lot of safety, like
Right.
cameras, KLC, and VCS, and all those. So when I got around all these school districts and started just being in there, it's crazy how serious these directors are
Right.
about safety and these
Yeah.
children.
Well, and I think the other thing that, obviously, like I said earlier today, the customer service that, I've been witness to with our districts, in my opinion, it top shelf, definitely. Because, especially to these small schools, the school bus is a pretty big investment, and they've got to have somebody that they can call on and trust. And I feel like you guys do a great job of that.
Rush is really big on, and one of the benefits of them coming in was the mobile service.
Right.
And that mobile service is a huge benefit to our school districts. There's
Yeah.
some of those guys out there. There's one guy, and he is the director, and he's the technician, and he's
Yeah.
the light bulb changer, and he mows the lawn. So we have dispatched out, I don't know how many trucks we have at this time, and still buying trucks.
Right.
And we're providing everybody with Jeff Mealy. He's over our mobile service for the state of Arkansas. And he takes the urgency of those school buses very seriously, because a lot of these guys don't have a spare to put out there.
Well, that hits the nail on the head. Being again superintendent or whatever, we were forced at times. We may have one or two spares, but if two buses go down, we're having to, number one, pay the expense of getting it towed across town to a company that's got three things in front of you, And so to me, that is an amazing service that you guys offer to be able to turn that around like that. So I'm sure you came up with that, right?
Yes, she did.
I wish.
So Russ, I mean, so your background at what was it? Prior to coming to Rush, or
Before Rush, straight after high school, I joined the Marine Corps.
well,
Spent
appreciate your service.
Well, thank you. I spent 4 years there, and then basically hit the ground running with this company day one back home.
Yeah, gotcha.
Started in the service department. Been a truck washer, been a technician, been
Yeah,
been just about everything.
yeah. So where's home for you?
Now is in Pea Ridge, Arkansas.
Okay.
Love the little town. Have a
Yeah.
2-year-old that will soon be a member of that school district and on a
Yeah.
school bus. But
Right.
grew up in Benton, Arkansas.
Okay, and home for you is where?
Russellville.
Russellville. Okay, I got you. So Arkansas, born and bred. Yes. So I think too. Some of the things, bus wise. I think there's some safety features that I've seen that are coming down. That will enhance, I think, the driver's experience, but also, I think the thing that's getting a bus driver, number one, is tough, right? But number two, with all that's going on that bus and those kinds of things, there are a lot of days I just don't know how they do it. Like I've said earlier, social media is like the devil. I mean, everybody's trying to get seen, and kids are fighting and filming and trying to, get at the bus driver to make a video they can post. So, I think getting the new bus rolling out. I mean, hopefully, if it's a bus that's that's more comfortable, all the things that go into making a bus driver more aware, I think would be something that hopefully this bus will help out.
It's hard to adapt a 90-passenger vehicle to handle like a car, but that's ultimately the mission.
Right.
Something
wow.
that's as easy to maneuver, that widens the breadth of possible candidates to be a bus driver,
Absolutely.
to operate it safely
Yeah.
is the mission.
Well, man, I'm glad you said that, because that's true. That's like one of the number one things that we hear about bus drivers. That thing, it's too boxy. It didn't. But if they've got the feel of a vehicle, I mean, I'm sure. Hopefully, there will be more candidates.
It's a big vehicle that's designed to pick up students in neighborhoods and tight turns and hard to maneuver areas. It's hard to maneuver in a pickup truck, much less
Right.
a 40-foot vehicle.
I can remember when I was in school driving the bus, it was the old standard, but it even had that red button where they drop the axle going up a hill
Yeah.
and then pick it back up. And I'm thinking, ugh.
We've changed them a little bit. but
Yeah, when I was got into teaching and coaching some 20 plus years ago, our spare bus was the only standard in the fleet. But that thing, I never will forget. Every time you stop, it would backfire. I'm telling you, it was bad. So, but anyway, it looks like we're getting the wave off from Katie over there. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell you again that we're very appreciative of all that you guys not only do for Dawson but for schools, across Arkansas. You guys are killing it out there, and also, for the personal relationships that we've developed with Dawson and the sponsorships. Man, we really, really appreciate all that you do for us in the schools.
thank you so much for saying that. We appreciate y'all being here supporting it for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank y'all. Good to see you. I can tell Jackie, she's wringing her hands. She's like Katie. She got to be on the move, right? All right. So next on the chopping block, who do we have here, and who are you with?
It's Agnes and Steven from First Light Safety.
Hey, get up a little closer. Don't be afraid.
Hi guys, my name is Agnes and this is Steven and we are with First Light Safety.
Okay.
Yeah, First Light Safety Products. We're out of Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh, wow.
So that's a nice topic of conversation. We typically get a lot of questions centering around that. I am an East Texas boy. She is from Canada, so she sled all the way down here with a couple of snow dogs. And
Yeah. Well, I also heard that before that, your home is Poland.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let's talk about that story just for a couple of seconds. How in the world that a gal like you come from Poland to Canada to?
Well, my parents were moving
Murder
to Canada.
charges.
No, my parents were moving to Canada 16 years ago, and me and my sister, we moved with them.
Okay.
And that's how my journey started in Canada.
Right. I mean, now you didn't always plan on being in the stop sign, bright sign business, did you?
No, I have not. I'm actually pretty new with the company. It's been over 6 months, and I fell in love with the industry, with the school buses. I'm all about the safety. I have 2 children on my own. They take buses. I want to make sure that they get the best safety products possible out there.
Yeah. And you know, Rush was just saying how much those signs can enhance the visibility of that of the bus sign. So what are we talking about there as far as?
So we make 2 unique products for the school bus industry, completely brand new to the industry. One of them is a fully illuminated stop arm. The regular safety equipment on a school bus, or the legacy equipment, is just reflective, where you're relying on other people's headlights to hit that bounce back. And, in certain weather conditions, fog, early morning, rain, that's typically just not enough. Even though it's a 40-foot yellow bus, there's road conditions out there that, can cause some confusion. So our products, not only being reflective, are also backlit with ultra bright LED technology. So our products draw much more attention to the bus, particularly we're here in Northwest Arkansas. When you're in the mountains or you have a curve, you have high speed limits, you have rain, snow, fog, it's going to draw a lot more attention. And we're actually reducing stop arm violations. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but that's actually a pretty big affliction in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
In the last 10 plus years, there's been stop arm violations increasing all over the country. A lot of that's due to distracted driving, busier lifestyle, more people on the road. But with our technology drawing more attention to that school bus, we've actually statistically proven through pilot programs all over the country that our solutions do reduce stop arm violations by over 67%. And you're talking about millions of stop arm violations every single day. And one of the things that maybe your listeners aren't aware of is that school buses are the world's largest public transportation unit.
Yeah.
They transport over 26 million students a day. So you got to think, Seattle has a huge public transport system. New York has a huge public transport system. But it's dwarfed by the public transport system of school buses. School buses are only utilized in North America. So every single student in North America and in Canada are picked up on a yellow school bus and transported every day. 26 million people. There's no other transport system in the world moving that kind of volume.
Right. Well, anytime I see somebody do that, it makes me want to shoot a Huey and go after them.
Well, I'm from Texas. We just shoot at them. Our bus drivers are cock locked and ready to rock. So.
Yeah. Well, that'd do it too. But I'm also I'm kind of when it comes to stopping. I mean, I make a point to stop way back when I see that bus stopping, just to let them know. Because obviously out of that we've seen some tragedy happen. Those people go around, and in my mind, I can't think of anything that important that 30 seconds is going to say that you would say would make that big of a difference. Me
being in this industry, I've been in the industry myself for a little over 10 years, which is nothing compared to a lot of the people here. And I, unfortunately, the nature of my business, I see a lot of the videos of people going around the school bus. I've seen tragic videos where children are hit, even fatally hit. And, I'm going to be very explicit with what I say here. Maybe it's because I'm born and raised in East Texas and I just feel like saying it, but if somebody were to go around a school bus and hit my kid, their life would be over, because my life would be over.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be the darkest days on earth.
Right.
In my mind.
Oh,
and
sure.
like you said, there's nothing that's worth that. And when you see a school bus, it's full of children.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. So you say you've been in it for 10 years. I mean, what was your background? Let's say it like that.
So various capacities. I started my professional life off as a cost accountant. As you're probably aware of, I like to talk. I don't mind being the center of attention.
Yeah.
So, being an accountant just didn't work out very well for me, and I moved over into sales because I remember, the sales team was one floor below us. And the sales team was wild. You know, they had a keg and a dartboard,
That's
a
right,
ping
yeah.
pong table. You know, I was
Yeah.
like, man, these people,
Right.
they get paid to have fun. You know, and I actually sold mirrors for Roscoe out of New York for a while,
Mm-hmm.
for several years. And you may not be aware, Roscoe makes every mirror for every school bus.
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
let's just say I was lowered down and dipped in yellow paint, and I fell in love with it right after that. I mean, I love the people, I love the industry. You know, I feel like God put me in that
Right.
position.
Sure. Right.
You know, because I found my people, so to
Sure.
speak,
Mhm.
and I found a cause that I'm passionate about, and
Right.
I feel like I'm saving lives every day. Really,
Oh,
I
without
do.
a doubt.
I feel. God, I know somebody's listening to this and thinking, saving lives, you know,
Mm.
you sound like a tow truck operator comparing themselves to a firefighter, but I really do feel that
Sure.
way, you know?
Oh, absolutely, and I wouldn't disagree with that. You know, you talk about video, not to pick on Canada, but you know the
Pick
thing.
on them all you want. I'm not Canadian.
Well, but what I was going to say is, you know, the bus drivers have so much on their mind to begin with, you know. But it was a video of a bus driver. She was busy trying to, you know, take care of the business behind her. Little kid gets off. She closes the door, and the kid's backpack is on the inside of the door, and the kid's on the outside. Drags the kid for over a mile, I think they said. Kid was fine by the grace of God.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. I think the people that go around these buses with the signs and the arms extended, you have to be extremely focused to begin with. But when you're dealing with all the chatter of kids and discipline and that kind of stuff, they just need to bear that in mind as they approach a school bus, like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I see a lot of those videos and different things. And, you know, circling back around to the fact that it is the largest public transportation system, anytime you have large volume like that, you're going to see, you know,
Sure.
examples of all kinds of things out there. But, you know, you have to remind yourself that those bus drivers, while they are trained, while they are highly focused, there are things that do go on
Oh,
in certain
sure.
circumstances that come up, and you know, force majeure that puts that out there. But yeah, the oncoming motorist shouldn't be another problem for the school bus driver. We shouldn't have any kind of fatalities across the country. I mean, we have a 40-foot yellow bus. Now we added over 10 foot of
Right.
surface lit area to it.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know, those things add up. It's not a perfect solution yet. But I remember I read a book on Henry Ford, and he's like, you know, we're always improving. It's the little things. You know, it's
Right.
like 20 years ago they had brakes, right? On every vehicle you had brakes,
Right.
but now they have anti-lock brakes, right?
Right.
Does the same thing, but you stop 20% sooner, and that caused a huge decrease in rear ends and accidents all over the world.
For sure.
Same technology, slightly better, and you add all of those things up: seat belts, airbags,
Yeah.
40-foot yellow bus, lights.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, with you saying that, I can remember what an incredible invention the strobe on top of the bus was. You know, that was how they were able to notice in the fog or at night or what have you. So do you have a particular, I guess, product that you're very passionate about, or just everything out there?
I would say stop arm.
Mm-hmm.
Stop arm because it's so bright, it's flashy, you can compare it to the ambulance or fire department truck. It's bright, super bright, and even if you're busy, even if you're on the phone, you know, if you lost your focus for a minute, that's going to bring you attention.
For sure.
You are going to see with the corner of your eye that flashing sign, and that will make you might think that's a police. You're gonna push your brakes. You're gonna stop.
Right. So Canada versus the U.S. I mean, a school bus is a school bus, right? I guess. Yeah.
You know, every state has their own specifications. Even in
Right.
the United States, you look at a school bus from California, for example. They have an emergency exit door right in the middle of the bus, and they only have a rear stop arm. And one thing that California does that I really like, and I think more states need to look at adopting, is they actually have a bus monitor that sits on every single bus. And
Oh,
when
wow.
a child crosses the street, that bus monitor gets off with a handheld stop arm and walks that child across the street just like a crossing guard
Wow.
on the school bus. Now, it's only on the routes where the child is actually crossing a road, right? Where, you know, if they're getting off curbside and heading that direction, they don't do that. But, you know, I think that that's a great policy. But surprisingly enough, California is actually one of the worst states for stop arm violations. You know,
Wow.
even though they have bus monitors that get off. But, again, that circles back around to what you asked me earlier. It's some of those little things. Sometimes it's done through trial and error, right? And sometimes you see one state doing it a little bit differently, and it makes an impact. And same thing in Canada. They have a unique environment where they deal with extreme weather conditions.
Right.
So some of their equipment's a little different. They have a lot of heated stuff up there.
Right. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, we have blizzards, we have snowstorms.
She's from
It's-
Poland. She told me they
it's
walk to school
dark.
there, though.
It's
Walk to
very,
school.
Very dark.
Yeah, they don't pick their kids up in Poland. You walk to school, baby. How long did it
School is
take?
pretty close.
Yeah.
about 10
Uphill
minute walk.
both ways.
That's right.
Yeah.
30
Se-
minutes.
Yeah,
blistering
7
cold.
feet of
It's
snow.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the winter is not that severe in Poland, so
Yeah.
this one is, the one in Canada is much different.
Man, I'm loving this. I got to ask you some questions too. So you've been in America twice now. Your last trip was just for a few days. What have you seen that you thought, oh wow, that's very American?
I am just absolutely amazed with the people in the industry. That's my first trip.
Right.
I finally met people that I've been talking to for a few months over
Sure.
the phone.
Right.
Or via Teams conferences. So it's fantastic to actually put the faces to those voices, right? And hear all those amazing stories about,
Right.
how they ended up in the industry. They've been in like 30, 25 years.
Right.
Everyone has a story, and they all like a big one family.
Oh,
and
yes.
that's amazing.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
for sure. So are buses retrofitted with these signs, or?
They are. There's actually a bus all the way across the exhibition hall that has our lights and stop arms on it. So we've got a number of school districts in the state, probably 20 or 30 different school districts in the state that have retrofitted buses. A lot of other school districts are now ordering their buses with our optional product on there. And it's actually something that we're looking at the state level, to where there could be a mandate, or at least a partial mandate, requiring an illuminated stop arm, for example, on new bus orders.
Right.
So that's kind of the direction that we're heading. We've been approved in the state of Arkansas now, I think, for like 3 years. So it takes a little while to get things going, but we actually have, I would say, probably hundreds of buses rolling around the state of
Wow.
Arkansas right
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
Average fleet age, I think, in Arkansas is 10, 15
Yeah,
years. So it takes a little while to cycle those buses
Sure.
through. Just because of budgetary standpoint. But you were asking her, some of the products that really excited her. I see a lot of electric buses coming. Maybe not so much to Arkansas, but there's still
Right.
a few coming to
Sure.
Arkansas.
Right.
And almost every electric bus rolling off the assembly line has our product on. I mean, 'cause when
Gotcha.
you look at it,
Oh, yeah.
that makes sense on
Yeah.
an electric bus, right? I
It
mean,
really does.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting ready to roll in with our next guest, but I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate taking the time to come by. East Texas, we're down in East Texas.
I grew up all over East Texas. Right now, I currently reside in Wills Point. It's out near Canton, the
Yep.
world's largest flea market.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people know that.
Right,
I
right.
figured she was going to say the heat is one thing that stood out to her when she came down, because she was sweating on a golf course 2 days ago. Man.
Yeah.
She was
That
like,
was
"This is
terrifying.
unreal."
Yeah.
The heat
Hey,
was terrifying, yes.
But what I would tell you is this, girl, you ain't experienced anything yet till the humidity really sets in.
Well, we were in Houston. Trust
Oh,
me, she got a taste of that
Yeah.
humidity. She was
Well,
like, "How do people live here?" I was like, "Our horse died when we were crossing America, and they just went, this is where we're setting up."
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. Well, if you were in Houston, you're exactly right. That stuff will take your breath away down there. Won't it?
Air
Yeah.
was hugging me, yes. and
So,
that's very thick.
what's typical temperature in the summer in Canada? Does it get hot
Well,
up
we
there?
get hot. Yeah, it's 35, 37. We do have humidity as well. But this was out of the books.
Right.
I
No, she
never
says
experienced-
35, 37.
Yeah,
You
we're
mean
over here
Celsius.
trying to do
Celsius,
some
I'm
math.
sorry.
like-
Yeah, we had 105. 105
It'll
on
get up to
Sunday.
100, not
Yeah.
quite the humidity level that we
Yeah.
have, but the inverse of that is true. I was up there 2 years ago in February, and it got to negative 45 Celsius, which
Oh
is
my
roughly
gosh.
which is roughly the same in Fahrenheit. And when it's that cold, I remember it was on the news while I was there that it was actually colder in Winnipeg than it was on Mars.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah,
that's one of
think
those
about
days.
that.
Hey, I wouldn't have left the house. I promise you.
Oh,
that.
Hey,
no.
I don't
For
leave
us,
the
it's
house
just
with the
regular
heat.
Wednesday.
She was complaining about the golf course. I was like, "Why do you think I'm not there?" Like it's 100 degrees and
Yeah,
humid.
yeah. Been there,
So,
done that.
Hey man, it was a real
Yeah,
pleasure. Thank you
too.
very much.
Yeah.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much for
you.
having
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
y'all. Grab a hat if you want one on the way out there.
Thank you.
You betcha.
I'm gonna.
My first of the year.
Here, I sweat a little bit. Let me put a rag to those headphones for him.
Yeah,
let me see that tissue, will you?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
I don't want him.
That's all right.
I don't want my.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you? You
No matter where I am here.
either one. Just put on some headphones there and kind of introduce yourself, if you will.
Yeah, hi. My name is Mike McClure. I'm the transportation director for Fayetteville Public Schools.
Okay, so y'all probably have a few buses, huh?
We do, yeah. We have about 70 buses and run 52 routes every day. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, in Fayetteville, I think is one of those interesting cities. Everybody think it's more. I don't know. They don't think you guys have rural areas as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Our district is 113 square miles, and we actually go all the way out to Madison County.
Wow.
So we there's one bus route in particular that we run, goes down a dirt road, leaves the dirt road, and we're in Madison County, and then we come back into Washington County to.
So is that the longest one, or?
Probably, yeah. We go all the way out the Goshen area with 3 or 4 of our routes, and so that's the furthest distance.
Okay. So let's talk your background real quick. What led you to the position you're in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm
Wrong
beginning
place, wrong time, huh?
I'm beginning my 32nd year in public school education. I started out as a teacher, coach, which a lot of people who end up in transportation.
Yeah. What'd
do,
you
but,
coach?
Football, basketball, track, taught
Okay.
health, PE, social studies, all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I just kind of fell into it when I was coaching. I was working in Fort Smith when I got into transportation, and the transportation director at the time said, "Hey, you're going to all these games anyway. Why don't you get your CDL and drive, and I'll pay you a little extra money." So
Right.
I had a young family
Yeah.
at the time and needed some extra money.
Sure.
So I thought, yeah, that's a perfect thing for me to
Yeah.
do. So I got
Yeah.
my CDL, and I've worked in transportation now for probably 20 years or so.
Yeah. So do you find it pretty fulfilling, or you know?
You know, it's never boring.
Right.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's always something new, something interesting. There's nothing that's ever boring about it.
Yeah.
I tell people a lot of time it's like dodging darts.
Yeah.
But for me, that's a good thing. 'Cause
Yeah. Right.
I like my mind to be active. So
Well, I'm same way. I can't. I don't like having the same thing 2 days in a row. I mean, that just bores me to death. So yeah. So you know, with the amount of routes that you guys have, I'm sure it's just a kind of a constant movement with those buses, making sure they're serviced and those kinds of things.
yeah, not only do we deal with driver issues like everybody else, having enough drivers to drive our routes, but having the bus available because with the number of buses we have, there are always mechanical issues. We always
Sure.
have 2 or 3 or 4 that
Yeah.
are in the shop or are not available. That gets tough, especially when you have kids and a driver that are used to an air-conditioned bus.
Oh yeah.
And now they don't have one for
Right.
a week or so, and
Yeah.
and parents don't like that, and kids
Yeah.
don't like that, and the drivers certainly don't like that.
Yeah.
They want their AC buses.
So when you first started in this, did you ever think you'd be talking about an air-conditioned bus problem?
No. We're fortunate. Our district has decided to move that direction. I would say.
Sure.
After this year, we'll probably have about 2/3 of our routes that
Yeah.
have AC.
Yeah.
Now, I used to tell people that about half our routes have AC. The problem with that is the other half don't.
Right. Yeah.
And
Sure.
That's frustrating for some people,
Yeah.
especially. Luckily, the only times that we deal with a lot of heat are early in August and September, and maybe even into October, but
Yeah.
and then in the spring.
Yeah, and these modern conveniences, as some folks may look at them, I mean, to me, that really helps the overall, let's say, atmosphere of the bus. I mean, as a recovering superintendent, I remember when we put Wi-Fi on the bus, and discipline went way down because the kids were, popping that stuff out. Obviously, we could shut it down and block sites and that kind of stuff. A lot of kids did their homework, while they were on there. But to me, I think all those things go hand in hand to make it a better experience for the kids.
Absolutely, yeah. And we don't have dedicated Wi-Fi on our buses now. During COVID, we did
Sure.
have that on some buses and put them in certain areas for kids that were virtual and things like
Right.
that. But yeah, we have that capability, and we're moving toward that. So
Yeah. So were you a route guy, obviously, before you got this job?
well, I actually dealt with student discipline and
Oh, okay.
safety. I worked in the Rogers School District for several years, and that gave me a good experience, a good perspective on all parts of the transportation industry.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and that's a unique thing in itself. But
Yeah. So I mean that was all you basically dealt with. I say all that. I mean discipline on a bus is. I mean I'm sure you were busy.
absolutely, yeah. The number of routes when I worked in Rogers, they're larger than we are in Fayetteville even, and so it's a full-time job, and they've continued to have a full-time person in that position. So, but yeah, that interaction with parents.
Oh yeah.
Kids, that kind of thing, and there are rewarding things about all of this. I mean,
Sure.
The bottom line is we're trying to be safe and get kids safely to and from school every day.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk just for a minute about the association that you guys have up here. It's somewhat unique, I think. I mean,
It really is, yeah. My boss in Rogers, actually, Barney Hayes, kind of started this Northwest Arkansas Transportation Association with some other districts. My former boss, Tommy Davenport, in Fayetteville, kind of my mentor and somebody I learned a lot from. But he and Barney kind of got this thing kicked off, and it's been going pretty strong for, more than 20 years now, I would say. But it's a great resource, and the thing I tell people in transportation, we're all in this to help each other.
100%.
Right. When I was coaching, you don't want to give all the other coaches all your secrets and that kind of thing because they might use them to beat you.
Sure.
But in transportation, it's not that way. We work together and try to help each other with every aspect of what we do. And I call people for advice. I have other directors call me for advice, and we do just try to help each other with all of it.
Yeah. I mean, we've got pockets of that, in our area. Like, for instance, our co-op has one, but, I could see the benefit of, something like this and really rolling that out, just like you're saying, because your resources, your contacts, all of that stuff just multiplies when you have a organization like this one. And like you're saying, the big benefit that I see, obviously, it was like sitting out there this morning and looking out into the crowd. I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe 100 plus out there, but still there's, everybody's here for the same purpose, like you said. And, I like to say it like this, the conference within the conference, when you can come in under these conditions a little bit more relaxed and say, hey, I'm dealing with this. And, I mean, how you handle it, or do you know somebody that can, kind of thing?
Absolutely. It is the kind of things I love. Number one, it's the summer, and we're not running routes every day, so I enjoy that. But, yeah, a lot of these people, they're not only my colleagues, they're my friends.
Sure.
And so I'd absolutely look forward to getting together with them, in the summertime, and we can talk about, things that we don't maybe have time to talk about during the school year when we're going 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Not literally, we don't.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I love about Rush, the thing that's, I mean, I learn something every time I get around these guys, but, I wish I'd have had this option as a superintendent. But what I would say there is is the mobile, technicians that they have, because for us, I mean, there was one guy basically that worked on, one shop that worked on buses. So we would be without a bus. We may be 3 or 4 in the line. And so we got, that old spare bus, we call it, and so, but I think they bring a lot to the table too.
Well, absolutely. They're a great partner, and we do a lot of business with Rush. I'm sure at any given time we have 2 or 3 buses up there with them. I think we do right now. But yeah, they're a great partner. We rely on them and our other vendors. We try to work together as much as we can, and they do really support us very well, and we appreciate them.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by today. And, I've actually got a son and daughter-in-law that lives within the Fayetteville district. They no kids yet. They're recent grads, I guess. But, man, it's an incredible school system that you guys have.
Yeah, we really like working there. And if they do need a position, we've got some bus driver jobs open. And but it's a great district, and I've loved my time there. And the support that I've gotten, not only from my coworkers, colleagues, around the state, but also our district has been really great.
Well, man, thanks for taking the time to come by, and good luck, and you guys do a great conference up here. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Well, I take up my fair share of the room, I promise. So do I. All right. Well, let's start on the end. You guys introduce yourselves and your company. How about that?
My name is Jake Riley, and I'm with VSC Fire and Security. I do their sales and estimating.
Okay.
And I'm Guy Hall from VSC Fire and Security. I do the same as Jake.
Okay. So your company, Fire and Security. What do you guys? What's the product you guys have?
We do inspections, service, and sales for new installs for sprinkler, backflows, fire alarm, security, CCTV, fire extinguishers. We do kitchen hoods, suppression system, clean agents, anything life safety we do.
Life safety, that's what it's about.
Okay, so y'all do inspections on the cook hoods, and okay, that's good to know. We've got one down in Arkadelphia that was a restaurant at one time, but we've redone it, and it's a full commercial kitchen, I guess you would say. So we've had a issue or two at times. Right now, we're okay, but so I got to get a card before I get.
Hit us up.
Yeah, we'll take care of you.
And my dad was a fireman for 35 years, so a lot of these things that you guys talk about, and being a former administrator is like I like to say, recovering superintendent. So quick story here: we had a school down there in Arkadelphia, brand new, and I think it was like the week before they were getting ready to open up a brand new middle school. And the sprinkler, for whatever reason, one of the pipes burst, and it flooded the whole bottom floor. Brand new building. So,
Oh man,
that's
we've heard about that a time or two.
yeah, I bet you have.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So, as far as coming to this conference, I'm sure there's probably a lot of crossover, or some at least, with buses and what you guys do.
Absolutely. We deal hand in hand with transportation directors all over the state.
Right.
And there's school buses. They're carrying our precious babies with them.
Sure. Right.
So we want to make sure they're protected as well.
Right.
So getting to know them, putting our fire extinguishers on the buses, and making sure everything's safe if any accident was to happen.
Sure. So, and I forgot to ask, where are you guys located? Where you out of?
We're out of Rogers, Arkansas.
Okay, we were there just last week.
Yeah. We cover the Northwest Arkansas area.
Okay.
Both of us actually. It's a growing spot.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My son lives in Fayetteville. I know exactly it. And I live in a small town just north of Hot Springs Village called Jesseville, and about 3 hours away. But he and his wife, they ain't ever coming back, I don't think. But it's like I told my wife, it's 3 hours, not three states. So we're good to go. So
that's true.
So fire extinguishers a big thing for buses. Anything else that you guys provide necessarily for buses that?
Something we've heard about. They're starting out with electric school buses, and those batteries seem to be an issue.
Yeah,
and putting fire suppression on some of the buses.
Oh wow,
is something that has been spoke about, and I do believe they're working on.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that makes sense, because I can't imagine how many batteries it would take to run a school bus.
And the type of batteries they are, there's no easy way to put a fire out if those do ignite. So,
right. Yeah.
We want to be very, very cautious when it comes to something like that. And I know that the people in charge are doing what they need to do to make sure they are safe.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: what brought you guys to this particular profession?
Well, the firefighter service.
Right. Okay.
Quite honestly, I know Guy's dad was.
My dad was a firefighter for 30 years back home in the Bay Area.
Gotcha.
And go ahead, Guy.
I started my career 25 years ago. I got my electronics degree, and then I got an offer, and I started in it after my dad was getting ready to retire.
Right.
And I got in this industry.
Okay, I got you.
Yep. Somewhat similar. I had some really good people in my life that were firefighters. Right here, in Springdale, actually. And he's a role model for me, and that's where I started. And I met some other people along the way. My mentor of mine kind of brought me along, and he owned a company that did exactly what we're doing now. And I just, about 15 years ago, I started with him, and the fire service has always been important. If I wasn't able to go out and save lives, at least I could do it this way. If
Right.
you know, if a building caught on fire and our sprinkler system worked, then we've done our job.
Sure, absolutely. So, are you in Rogers now?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm in Rogers.
yeah. So it's just as cool as the Bay Area, huh? In the summer months.
Yeah. No. No, it's a little bit different culture up here than down there.
You know,
So-
I'd always heard, the humidity is what kills us around here, but Arizona's a dry heat. When I went out there one day, I thought, well, I can understand that, when it's 90, 95, 105 out there, it's like it's 2,000 degrees out here with the humidity, so.
Yeah.
Going forward, like the battery suppression piece and those kinds of things. I mean, it seems to me you're in an industry that is constantly evolving.
Absolutely.
Every year we have new code coming in, and just we have to keep
up with it. It's good to keep in touch with our local fire marshals.
Right.
They're the authority.
Sure.
So what they say goes a lot of times, and,
Right.
and we just try to make sure whatever we're doing is up to standard and up to code.
Right. So, and again, it sounds like to me you guys are the type of company that, when schools are being built, that kind of thing, get in on that floor and you're able to
Absolutely.
install your
Yes.
product.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
we like to get in with a general contractor right off the bat.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's one of those situations where God forbid you don't want it to happen, but if it does,
Yeah.
I mean, you want to know that it can be taken
Yeah.
care of. And
It's another good thing about the area we're in. The cities around here are very strict on that as well.
right.
So, they want to make sure they're not going to have a business burn down that's going to take out 3 or 4 more.
Sure. Right.
Um,
yeah.
So, it works out well. I know that we're doing the right thing. We're saving
Right.
lives, and we're enjoying it while we do it.
So how big of a pain is it? I say that. I mean, I'm kind of not necessarily putting you on the spot, but when you got to go in and do a retrofit, for like an older school, I mean,
Guy?
it's
that's kind of a loaded question. I know every school has its problems.
Yeah.
Issues, we'll say that.
on the fire alarm, the sprinkler side, and even the kitchen system, and it has its moments, it has its challenges, but
It does. We have really good technicians, and when they have some sort of adversity like that, where they're having to retrofit something,
Yeah.
they take it as a challenge.
Right, yeah.
We think we have the best techs in out there.
Yeah.
Yes, we
and
do.
well, they're great guys. So when they get something like that, they look at it as a challenge, and they make it happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that because, I mean, it's one thing to install a product, right? But it's another thing to have that service. I mean, that's one of the things, again, that I hear over and over about Rush and their school bus business is the customer service and the fact that they've got techs out there, and now they have a mobile tech fleet and those kinds of things. So, again, another evolving piece to that. But, yeah, I mean, you're only as good as your people.
That's it. And we are, and we do appreciate our techs that are out there. They work hard for us every day, and
yes.
they're what really runs this.
So, is there a particular certification that those guys have to?
Yeah.
yeah, we have to go through on the fire alarm sides. We have to go through an FBI background check.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take a test through the state of Arkansas. The fire extinguishers, the fire sprinklers, and that we have to take a test and get certified. And
Yeah, there's certifications for each level that you are, and they do a good job of taking care of us as soon as we pass those tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of an in general question. I mean, again, I'll be the first one to tell you I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but what is the life expectancy of a fire extinguisher? And I mean, that's probably dependent on size, that kind of stuff.
It is. I still go in places now where I see, extinguisher from 1970 that still shows in the green.
Right.
If they're well taken care of, they can last a lifetime.
Okay.
every 5 to 6 years they need to be serviced depending on the type of extinguisher.
Right.
As long as you're maintaining that service, most of the time that extinguisher is going to last.
Right.
If you are ever just wanting to look at one to make sure, the gauge is a pretty good indicator.
Okay.
If there's a gauge on there, if it's in the green, more than likely it's good, but you can't always go by that. So
Right, yeah.
that's why there's a pull pin and a tamper on there as well.
Gotcha. Well, you say this. I'll tell this on Michael, my technician over there. He and a couple of folks would just recently purchased a building over there, and I don't remember how it happened. Somehow it got kicked over, and that thing went off. It was a bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of them came out. I mean, just covered in that stuff. And I was like, "What in the heck?"
Yeah, it's no fun. It's no fun. You'll still be finding those that little powder everywhere.
Yeah.
For years to come.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it seemed like that thing went on, didn't it? I mean, it was
There's
crazy.
a little bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
so-
shoot off for a while.
Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate it, and like I said, I'm not going to get out here without getting a card because again, the suppression people that we've I mean, there's not many of y'all out there as far as the kitchen hood piece. I'll just say it that way, or I don't know that. I mean, obviously, I'm not a restaurateur, but
Yeah, well, we pride ourselves on, we're one company that can take care of everything.
Okay,
So
that's
if,
good.
if you have it, we can probably handle it.
yeah, okay.
And we have we cover quite a lot of states. We
Okay.
cover Texas, Arkansas,
Oh, wow.
Missouri, Virginia.
I believe we have 27 offices right now.
Wow.
27 or
Across the
30.
state, Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we cover up the East Coast, down Florida, all
Oh,
over.
okay.
Texas.
So
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Well,
good.
man, you guys are doing great work. Keep it up.
Yes, sir. We'll
So
get you a card. Thank
Hey,
you.
thank you
Thanks, sir.
so much. Yeah.
Appreciate
Grab a hat if you want one on
Thank
the
you,
way
sir.
out. You betcha. All right. A little easier to hear. So, well, if you will, just kind of introduce yourself and let us know who you're with.
Yeah, my name's Kevin Bailey. I'm with a company out of North Carolina called Norgon. We sell heavy-duty diagnostic software for basically any kind of heavy-duty truck, but we
Right.
sell a lot of school buses.
Yeah. So is it? I mean, is it as simple as I take it? Do you just plug it in and it can
It is.
diagnose or?
Yeah, it's that simple. So it's a 30-year-old company, and so we build all different kinds of software
Right.
for Bendix brakes and Allison
Oh, okay.
transmission.
Yeah, yeah.
But we build our own. So this software is called JPro,
Mm-hmm.
and we have actually about 30 to 40 school districts in Arkansas that are
Oh,
already
wow.
using it.
Yeah.
And some in your
Oh,
co-op, in
right.
fact.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you take the computer, you plug it into the bus in
Mm-hmm.
less than 2 minutes. It will tell you what's wrong with the bus, what's going
Right.
on, and how to fix it. So all the troubleshooting is
Wow.
in there as well.
Yeah. So how did how did the company get started? I mean,
So Bill Hathaway is the president and owner of the company. And so, yeah, he started years ago making hardware and software for some of the OEs.
oh, okay.
And a few years into it, he kept getting feedback from mechanics saying, hey,
Yeah.
we need something that will read everything. So
Right.
one thing I failed to mention, so it'll read all makes and models.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't matter. I mean, 99.9% of all makes and models of heavy-duty vehicles, this thing will read. And in less than 2 minutes, it'll read the engine, brakes,
Yeah.
transmission, body controllers, everything.
Well, I started to say, I mean, that's pretty impressive that it not only diagnoses what the problem is, but it gives you the wherewithal how to fix it.
Yeah, troubleshooting step by step, schematics, pin locations, engine breakdown.
Wow.
There's tens of thousands of different repairs that the technician needs to access, and it's all there in one
Yeah.
format. So yeah, it's a really neat product. We need, and one reason we have a big relationship, a strong relationship with these school districts. A lot of times you walk into these bus shops, and these guys are overworked and
Right.
and underpaid a lot of
Yeah.
times, and kind of don't get a lot of attention. And so it's really been a blessing to help these guys out and make their job easier.
Yeah, because in a lot of times, I was a superintendent for a school there near Hot Springs, Fountain Lake, which is we had quite a bit of rural area, but and those buses can take a beating versus somebody that's in more of a suburban type setting.
Yeah.
And if something went wrong, we had two choices. Our guys would dig into it, or if they couldn't do it, we have to wait our turn at the one shop in town that did buses. So.
Yeah. So. The beauty of this is, it makes them more efficient in the shop, and there's less downtime.
Sure.
And then also, this is plug and play, and these guys, we give free training, we have free support, and we also have another service that we can sell. It's only $1,400 a year, but it's a technician as a service. So basically, we have master techs on call in North Carolina.
Oh wow!
And so if you get into a problem, you can call in, talk to one of our master techs, and he will log into the computer, see what you're seeing. And help you finish the repair to the end.
Wow!
So it's really
that right there is very impressive.
Pretty cool.
So how did you get into the industry?
Yeah, I've been in the sales game for almost 30 years, and I've only been in the industry for 3. So I live in Arkansas. I live in Conway.
Okay.
And 2020 came, and I was actually selling medical equipment and supplies, and so I needed a new job. So I researched this company and fell in love with it, and they gave me a shot, and so I was a sales rep for the first year and a half, and now I'm a regional manager over 4 states. But I mean, that's the beauty of the software. Somebody without an industry background can get their head around this. It's that easy to use.
Yeah, well, and like I say, with that, with the software that readily available, I can't imagine the time saver that it's been.
Yeah, it has been. It's huge, and if you talk to, and we've got tons of referrals within Arkansas, these school districts, that will tell you it's saved them not only a lot of time, but a lot of money.
Right.
Sending it to dealers and shops. And
stuff. And I think the other piece to that is what you were saying about the technician piece. I mean, being able to help them finish that out.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine how beneficial that's been. Because I know it's got to be, saves time, but it also just I think whether they realize it or not, they're learning on the fly.
Absolutely. And so every time a technician, let's say, calls into our technician as a service, they call into our home office and get that master tech on the line. I mean, we're educating him right there. So if it's that same problem that comes up later, he can do it himself.
Yeah.
And so we have a ton of education and resource online on our website, noragon.com. And there's a portal. There's free live webinars each month.
Oh, wow.
And just a lot of resources there. And we have not only, I'm in state, but I have a local rep, Steve Johnson, who lives in Hot Springs.
Okay.
And so he covers the whole state as well.
Yeah.
So this software, so UPS, FedEx, Frito-Lay, Walmart, Pepsi, every major carrier in the United States, this is their software to go to.
Okay.
Triage.
Well, if you guys haven't done it, we need to make sure we get you guys in front of our transportation organization's not near as big as this one. It's basically with all the schools within our co-op, 22 districts. So if you hadn't been there, it sounds like we need to get you guys in front of it.
No, I think, and Steve will know more about what schools in your co-op already have J-Pro, and I'm sure he's talked to some others. But usually, if there's at least 10 to 15 buses at least, and then a handful of white vehicles, it'll justify the cost. It's pretty. It's pretty. It's a good investment. I mean, no matter really what it costs, it's going to pay for itself in the long run. But we do have promotions from time to time where you can get 15, 20% off, and that'll save you, a lot of money there too. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you, I appreciate you taking the time to stop in today, and like I said, we'll get some info from you guys here in a bit and take back with us, because it sounds like, that would be a big benefit to our districts, the ones that aren't using it for sure. So
Absolutely. So we can do a free live demo anytime, Steve.
Okay.
And so that's what we do. We go around the shops, plug into anything and everything you want, and let the mechanics play with it, and then they can say, okay, we need this or we don't.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Well, man, thanks
Yeah.
For coming by. It's good to meet you.
Absolutely.
Grab-
Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
grab a hat if you want one on the way out there.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Steve. Oh, he's talking.
I think Katie's talking to our next guest as usual. Like, loading up. So, okay, all right. So, how about that, Michael? Katie's running behind. She's talking. Well, I tell you what, this is, if for whatever reason you stumbled upon us right about now, just wanted to tell you that, we've had a incredible turnout here. I mean, it's been super at the Rush. Rush is just great to put this on. I mean, this transportation expo, if you will, it's a good thing. Looks like my next guests are walking in. All right. So, look, he's a true soldier. He's spitting his gum out, not me. I'm smacking all the way over here. So, all right. Well, we got a couple more folks from Rush here. So, if you will, we'll start on the end when you get your headphones on there.
All right.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sir, Craig Gassman, Rush Truck Center's new truck manager and bus.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Richard Cooper. I am bus sales representative for the south part of Arkansas. So I cover what includes the Dawson Co-op.
Yeah, you do. and that's what I was telling somebody. The thing I think that I get over and over is the customer service piece with you guys is incredible. Number two is just the fact that y'all are real good to stand behind what you sell.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if we don't do that, we're not going to have a good name in the industry at all. Our schools have some limited resources a lot of times on all the maintenance and repairs and things like that. And so we have a dealership network across the state. What are we at, Craig? 6 or 7?
7.
7. So we did have to close one last week, but we still maintain all the others. And but the big thing going forward is going to be our mobile service. I think is there going to be 12 in the state?
There's going to be 12 in the state.
12 mobile trucks.
Yep.
Well,
and we're trying to grow that across the Rush footprint, about 500 mobile trucks.
Yeah.
So not that bus-wise, I'm just letting you know.
Sure, yeah.
It's in the works.
Well, and that was something I didn't even think of until I talked to Ross and Jackie earlier. But man, that's an incredible service right there. As the folks listening probably tired of hearing me say it, but as a superintendent or recovering superintendent, man, if we had one go down, a lot of days there was one guy in town that we could send it to, and if we sent it, we may be number 4 or 5 in the hopper, and depending on the size of the district, it becomes burdensome pretty quick. So with the mobile service, these guys, what are some of the things that they do or can offer?
Oh gosh, I think about the only thing they can't do would probably be pull the engines.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
I think pull, the bigger stuff like that. But we have schools that have used our mobile service in the past, and just to give an example of what he would do is the buses that he had issues with, he would have them all at the bus shop lined up, ready to go.
Right.
And then when our service tech would show up, he would just go from bus to bus.
Wow.
He would be done 4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah.
And then on to the next, And in many cases, he would even have parts ready to go for our service tech to show up, or let him know what parts to bring that he wanted replaced. And so if you work it right and plan ahead a little bit, you can reduce your cost of having the tech there.
Right.
You do a little legwork, have them all lined up, ready to go, and and it'll be a smooth transition for you.
Yeah, and I think it's probably got to be an incredible peace of mind too for these transportation folks, knowing that even if, let's just say, they have very talented staff, but if need be, they have a plan B, if you will, that's going to be a quality plan B.
Right.
So.
In my travels out, I find There's quite a few schools that can do, in-frame rebuilds and things like that, but there's many others who can't.
Right.
And so then you have just all kind of, there's just a whole array out there. You have schools that basically they hire somebody to keep fuel in the buses, change some lights out basically, and maybe a little bit of maintenance, but they're going to have to rely on, a service tech to be able to do some of the bigger stuff, just because a good diesel tech is 25 plus an hour now.
Oh yeah, every bit of that. Every bit of that.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been with Rush?
So we've been with Rush going on 2 years, and obviously Summit before then.
Right.
Myself, I've been in the trucking business 27 years.
Right.
All I've ever done.
Yeah.
So the bus came to me when Rush took ownership. So still fairly new about the bus side, but I've got Robin and Roger, Robin, Roger, and Richard that their expertise and all that. I'm just kind of riding along with them.
Well, and there's probably being in the industry that long, I'm sure you've seen quite a few changes, even in
way too many.
Yeah. And we talk about a lot. Some of the things that have going on. Constantly looking for ways to improve buses, that kind of thing. We've had a couple people on here talking about electric buses and that kind of stuff, and I think you and I had that conversation before. I mean, there's lots of wins, lots of losses there. At one time, I believe we talked about just the battery itself. I don't even know how many batteries it would take.
So with our product, with IC Bus, we have a maximum of three batteries.
Right.
And so the batteries are actually called a string because inside the battery pack is a lot of smaller batteries. So now I will say it this way though, is getting that third string, that third battery, is going to increase your price a great deal.
Right.
So it will increase your range though. So what we're pretty much, with the EV, we have a grant from the EPA. The grant pretty much covers a bus with two battery string.
Gotcha.
That will give you about 135 mile range.
Okay.
So what we're kind of communicating to everyone is that you will have routes that this bus will work on and work very well.
Right.
If you're thinking you're going to get this bus for a trip bus, you're going to have to rethink the whole EV at this point in time.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking is just the range would be, and I think back to the district I was in, and when I say rural, I mean one lane, raggedy bridges that shake and all. I don't know. I wouldn't trust it out there. I'm just going to say it like that. But that's just the old man in me. And that's the thing, though. I think, down the road, lots of information indicating that's the way we're going. But
it is.
I think you guys have done a good job of that too. It seems like you guys are always evolving, always looking for a better way or a better product, if you will.
Sure.
So, with this industry, as we said earlier, I mean, I know you've sold buses to, our schools there in the co-op. And again, they can't say enough good things about you. And that's the truth. And I think, supply and demand, that's another thing probably. Do y'all have a fleet readily available? Let's just say I order a bus from signing the purchase order to delivery. What kind of time are we looking at?
Okay, so today we are looking at about a year is what we're asking for time-wise. I believe we'll do a little better, but in all honesty, the constraints right now are coming from some of the suppliers, not necessarily the bus plant itself.
Gotcha.
With everything that's happened in the industry, Cummins Engine is a major supplier to both bus and a truck side.
Right.
And they're, running wide open on production.
Right.
So they have kind of had to, set the constraints for the year for a lot of the manufacturers. And
right.
So,
yeah.
Hopefully, of course, and also too, Greg probably could back me up on this. We're going through another emissions for 2024, so there's a lot of
absolutely
uncertainty there.
yeah.
So,
You know, and that's the thing. I think is that makes it kind of hard to stay focused on. You know why in product and why it's so important in order to have a safe bus. I get all that for the kids and what have you, but again, a lot of times that just pulls the emergency stick up on progress. So
kind of does.
Well, guys, I appreciate it. And again, you guys put on a great event. You've been great to us, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate all that you guys do for us and our schools. And I look forward just to a continued relationship. And as we go through this, you guys are very school centered, and I really do appreciate that about you guys as well. So.
Well, like myself, I've been in the bus industry now 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for IC Bus in both Conway and Tulsa, building school buses. So I tell you, it does become a passion.
Oh yeah,
it really does.
And it shows. I mean, and I always tell people this. That was my thing to my son. Is to find your passion, and you won't feel like you worked a day in your life. So, and I've been blessed like you guys to really be plugged into something that I love to do.
There you go.
Well, guys, thanks.
Thank you for everything Dawson does with us, too.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Grab a hat on the way out if you want one there.
Grab me a hat after that, huh? Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, sir.
Oh, well, it really truly kind of depends on like topics and stuff. I'm good. Grab yourself some headphones there, and we'll.
Yeah, let me take this out of my ears first.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to hear with the phone piece in there.
Yeah, it is.
So introduce yourself and tell me who you're with.
Robert Ward. I'm with Mulberry Pleasant View Bi-County School District. I'm their bus mechanic, bus driver, or transportation helper, whatever they need me to do, I just do it.
How long you been there?
Going on 4.5 years.
4.5 years. What'd you do prior to getting there?
Do what?
What'd you do prior to this job?
Prior to that, I drove a truck for a while.
Yeah.
I run a parts store and service center for about 25 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
And then I worked for General Motors for several years before that.
Okay. Yeah. Where'd you work for them at?
Oklahoma City.
Okay. All right. So they got a plant over there, or did have, I guess?
Yeah, they got a plant up there, pretty good sized plant.
So what do they produce over there?
Well, they used to produce pickups up there. I don't know what they produce now.
I got
It's been so long since I've been up there.
Back when a truck was a truck, huh?
Yes.
I got you. So, getting into the school system, obviously that probably wasn't on your radar.
No, how I got into it is when I moved to Mulberry, the principal there, we became friends, and he kept hounding me to drive a bus.
Right.
The bus led into being the mechanic again that I didn't plan on being.
Yeah.
And then I found out that I actually really enjoyed working with the kids.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I've enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I had actually retired.
Oh yeah.
And they talked me out of retirement. Sometimes I think I ought to slap him, but
it'd make you feel better anyway, right?
It's been a great enjoyment working with the kids.
And,
when I first started there, we had a whole lot of old buses that just wasn't worth keeping around.
Right. Yeah.
It's costed us anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 a year to keep them running. So
yeah.
We've got into leasing.
Gotcha.
Because we're just a small school district. The biggest problem we have is keeping a good bus driver because we don't have funds to pay like all these bigger schools do.
Right.
It really, as far as finances go, it should be balanced out a little bit better to pay your help better in what they do.
Right. Well, and I think that, even some of the larger districts are having difficulty now finding bus drivers. I don't know if that's a COVID thing or if everybody's watching these YouTube videos where you got kids.
Well, I'll tell you, I look at some of those YouTube videos for training purposes, but
Right.
if you look at those YouTube videos and you got a bus driver you're trying to hire and he's looking at him, he's going to run.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to raise parents as well as kids.
Oh, 100%.
That nowadays, because they're not being raised properly at home.
Right.
And then when they come to school, you got a whole lot of rudeness and disrespect
Yeah.
going on. I'm an old country boy.
Yeah.
I was raised old-fashioned ways,
Yep.
and I still believe they work.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so every once in a while, I get in trouble.
Yeah, well, but what I would say to that is, I don't disagree with that. And the sad thing is, I think every kid that attends school, no matter how bad they are, they act better at school than they do at home. So, but that connection there is, I mean, it ain't saying they're always great, but
Well, I'll tell you, I have found since been there working with them each day that actually, in the end, those kids are really looking for somebody to set them on a straight path.
100%.
That's
yeah.
got the nerve to step up, not worry about what the government and the DHS and all them's got to say.
Right.
Just step up there and say, hey,
Yeah.
you need to straighten your act up.
Right,
And follow this, because people are looking at you. Like one young man in particular, I'll use him. He's turned out good. When I first met him, he was actually on drugs.
Yeah.
And was complaining because he couldn't get a job.
Yep.
And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to tell you something, young man. If I was still in business and you come and ask me for a job, one of the first things that's going to happen is I'm going to send you for a drug test.
Right.
And the reason why is because my insurance company, my workman's comp,
Right.
is going to deny you that job, not
Yeah.
me, them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I said, and I'm going to support them because you could cause me some serious problems.
100%. Yeah.
Now, and so if you sit down and tell these kids the truth up front, you'd be amazed how many of them you can turn into
yeah.
a good pathway.
Yeah, and a lot of those kids, like you're saying, they're just wanting attention, good, bad, or indifferent. But you speaking that kind of truth into that young man, that may be the first time he's heard that.
That's true.
So.
Well, that's how I approach them. Like I said, I'm an old country guy,
Yeah.
and I believe in old school ways.
Oh, I do too. Don't go changing.
I got a paddle hanging on my wall. That's my grandchildren. They come to clearly understand what Papa's got to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they clear them up real quick.
And they're respectful.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing, too. I think, the parents aren't willing, some of, I can't say all, but not willing to take the time it takes to invest in their kids, to make them respectful. But that's the good thing about what we do. Every minute that we get, we got to take advantage of every minute, every second we can to be a good role model to them on the front end.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that's what I set out to try to do each day.
Okay.
And if I've walked into the office and 2 years ago, I'm going to use this one. I walk into the office and there's a young man that's standing about 6 foot tall. He's a 12th grader, but he's standing there. He's cussing the principal. He's cussing his mama. And I stood there and I kept waiting for somebody to tell him to sit down and shut up.
Right.
Finally, I looked at him and said, young man, I'm only going to tell you one time. Sit down, shut up, and listen.
Right.
Yeah. And he went to open his mouth. I said, don't open your mouth. I'm
Right.
not like him, and I'm not like your mama.
Right.
You sit down, you shut up, and you listen.
Yeah.
And so he sat down, and I sat down beside him, and I explained to him
Right.
where he was in the wrong and how
Right.
rude and disrespectful he was. And
Yeah.
that young man comes up to me just a few days ago at the fireworks show we had there.
Yeah.
And says, Mr. Ward, I really thought a lot about what you said to me that day, and I
Right.
just want to say thank you.
Yep.
And you know what? If you could just do that,
Right.
to where they understand. I trained a lot of horses, so I always kind of trained a child the same way I would train a horse, really.
Right.
And a horse understands discipline.
Sure.
So a child can understand it twice as much as a horse can, surely.
Right. Oh, for
if
sure.
it's applied right.
Right.
And that's where we run into trouble with our kids nowadays. Nobody's training their kids right.
Right.
They're leaving it up to the teacher. The teacher's afraid. That's why we're losing teachers.
Yep.
We lost 7 teachers at our school this year.
Wow.
And it was all because of discipline. So we have to take action somehow.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for my job to work with these kids.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for folks like you that they get to pour into these kids. And, you know, at the end of the day, even as mad, I can remember even in instance in my career, I had a young lady that, you know, had a great relationship with her parents, and her dad had to take off work, and he was mad. And as she walked out, she said, you know, I hate you. And so I said, well, I'm just trying to do what's for your best interest or whatever. But, you know, within a couple of weeks, she came back in and, you know, revealed to me that her mom had been beating her with a belt buckle and all this stuff. So even, I mean, if they know you care, you know, that's over half the battle. So.
That's it, right?
Well, man, I appreciate you stopping by, and good luck on a successful year. And like I said, don't go changing. And, hey, you keep that old school alive. I like that.
I'm going to get older and keep it that way.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day, and God bless you.
All right, God bless you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you now.
You betcha. Hey, good morning. How are you?
Hello?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. How's this work?
Put these on.
Okay.
So you can hear a little bit better. Drown out some of that background noise, maybe.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so introduce yourself and maybe tell me what you do.
Oh, my name's Tom Hills, and I'm with the Heber Springs School District.
Okay.
I'm the transportation guy.
Oh, wow. So, you know, by the dialect, I don't think you're a natural Arkansan, huh?
Missouri.
Missouri, okay. Okay,
Yep.
Which part of Missouri?
Southern Missouri.
Okay.
Mountain View. There's a Mountain View, Missouri.
Yep,
There's
yeah,
a Mountain View, Arkansas.
Yeah. So, were you in school business over there? or-
No, that's where I grew up.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
I was born in Oregon. My wife was born in California. I moved to Southern Missouri. She moved to Northern Arkansas, and we met at ASU.
I got you. A-State, huh?
Yeah.
That's where I got my radio.
Red Wolves.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
I was an Indian.
Yeah, that's why I started saying I was Jumping Joe or
Yeah.
Running Joe, whatever. There's
Jumping
still some
Joe.
debate on that part, but yeah. I got a radio television degree from there, and so yeah, back in '89, I guess I graduated. So
Oh,
yeah.
I graduated in 90.
Yeah. So
I was
yeah.
right there with you.
So was your degree in education?
No,
or-
it was business management. Did you see me on campus?
Oh, I'm sure I did.
You
Yeah,
probably
had,
did.
Had to. Yeah.
I've always been this big, so.
Yeah. Came out of the womb just like this.
I was taller than my kindergarten teacher.
Oh wow.
So there's that.
So what got you into education and transportation?
Being at the right place at the right time, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
There were the bus guy at Heber, I guess, ran into some trouble. He had a weapon. It was
Right.
disassembled. He was taking
Right.
it to a shop to have it repaired.
Gotcha.
And somebody turned him in for having a weapon on campus.
Wow. Okay.
And of course, you can't do anything about that, so
Right.
you have to get thrown out.
Sure.
And then the next guy took over, and it was in the summer, and all they were doing was washing buses, and his doctor told him he needed to find a less stressful job.
Oh wow.
So then they're like, "Hey, Tom."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay."
So were you already at the district?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I stepped in there in August, looked around, and there was nothing.
Right.
No routes. All the drivers had the routes in their head.
Wow.
There were some maps with some pencils and highlighters.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah. It's hard to go with that plan from somebody that says it's right here. Right.
Yeah.
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 So what did you teach there at Heber?
No,
or-
I had started out in the maintenance department. fixing
Okay, I
broken
got you.
Doors
Yeah,
and
I
repairs
got you.
and buildings.
Yeah, man, you guys probably had one of the most beautiful school districts in the state of Arkansas.
Our routes are a nice drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Get to drive around the lake.
So how big is your district, square miles?
Oh man, we do about 570 miles.
Gotcha.
On our routes.
Yeah. So did you start out as a driver or?
I just walked in and charged.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. So
let me show you how it's done.
Yeah. Hey, it sounds like organization was needed right there, right?
Yep, they needed me.
Yeah. So your wife, she an educator or?
No, she was with ExxonMobil for a long time when they had a shop there because of the Fayetteville Shale.
Yep.
And now she's doing accounts payable for a company there in town.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Keeps her out of trouble.
Yeah. So do you have your CDL now?
Oh yeah.
So in case you
Yep.
have to, you can jump on there.
Yep. Yeah, that first year I had all the routes were covered, and there was one extra sub driver. He was blind in one eye, and the other was covered, so
Right.
it was a challenge.
Sure.
But we made it through it.
That's right. So, I mean, are you like everybody else having difficulty finding drivers?
I have been staffed, knock on wood, for over 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
We're two things. A retirement community has
Yep.
people that need things to do.
Right.
And I really believe if you get rid of the bad eggs, it's
Yep.
easier to put people in roles and hire people.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, as you say, one bad egg, I mean, it can be a culture killer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, nobody wants to be around them.
Exactly. That's right. And I've, you know, in my years of management, leadership, that kind of stuff, I mean, I've had to have that conversation on lots of occasions. And that's, you know, I don't have a whole lot of things that I tell people I absolutely will not put up with, but that's it.
Yeah.
One of them is, I mean, you can't, I mean, if you're going to be bitter and resentful, you're not
Right.
going to do it here.
Yeah,
you know?
no negative Nellies.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, they're no fun to be around.
No, not at all. So,
But I really think once you move those out, it's easier to bring in better people, and they enjoy the job better. They enjoy the ones they work with.
Yep.
And it's just a whole better environment.
oh, I would agree with you. So, what have you learned, and what have you learned not to do in this position?
Think that my plan's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably the best thing.
Yeah.
I have a cycle. I'll have a good year, and then it'll be a difficult year.
Yeah.
And that cycle seems to continue.
Yeah.
So I can pretty much plan on it.
Yeah.
And just try and do my best to circumvent it.
I had a boss one time, you know, his approach was like this. He said, man, if it can't eat you, it can't kill you. And he said, you're a pretty big dude, so don't worry about it. So I kind of go back to that from time to time.
That's
you know?
funny.
So, but yeah, but you know, like I was saying earlier in my remarks, I think it can't be lost on the fact that, you know, bus drivers play a vital part in the success of students, and you know, and can very well set the tone for the day for a kid.
Right.
You know, so
right.
And you know, it's, you know, that's the tough part of it. But you know, I kind of live in a retirement area myself. I don't live in Hot Springsville; it's just north of there. But you know, you're right; those folks are looking.
Mm-hmm.
And we were blessed when I was at Fountain Lake as superintendent to have lots of retired educators
Right.
wanted to get involved. So that's good. So if you had any advice for folks looking to get, if they're offered or looking to take the transportation director position, what would it be?
I'd say do it.
Yeah.
It's a great role. You get to see the whole spectrum. You get to see the best kids. You get to see the kids that have the most challenging life in
Right.
front of them.
Yeah. Mhm.
And you know, it's up to you to help them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just an amazing spectrum of what you get to see out there.
Right. Well, you know, you hit on something when you say driving, and I, you know, we used to do this exercise with our school board. We'd get them on the bus and take them on a route. You know, it's one thing to talk statistics or socioeconomic percentages, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, if you get on the bus and can really, you know, show them where these kids are coming from, it's very impactful. And, you know, we did that every year just to make sure that everybody knew, you know, where our kids were coming from.
Right. Because we go everywhere to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the ones that can't get there otherwise, you're the guy. You
Right.
gotta figure out a way to go get them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you stopping by. Grab your hat on the way out of here if you want one. And good
Oh,
luck.
thank you.
Have
Appreciate
yourself
it.
a great year. and
Have a
go-
great day.
And go Red Wolves, right?
That's right.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you take care. Oh, knock that over. Okay, your turn.
All right. Well,
Yeah, take your hat.
yeah.
Yes, no, take it.
It's about time that we wrap this thing up, right, Katie?
Yeah, so that was an interesting group of people. Michael and I made lots of friends while we were watching
Yeah,
and waiting.
Well, that's amazing that you actually went out and made a friend. What's that about?
I mean, we were working hard, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Working the crowd. We're getting business cards, connections. We're educating people on Dawson.
Yeah.
They had no idea.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's that's usually the case when they first hear co-op for the first time. They're like, "Do y'all sell like farm equipment?"
Yeah, the farmers co-op,
Yeah,
no doubt.
no.
Yeah, we're talking to all these businesses. Oh, I think this man is actually my next. He's our very last one. I had him lined
Okay,
up, so we're
okay.
going to let him jump on real quick.
Okay,
and then
we
we're going
will
to
do
close
that.
it down.
Okay,
Hold on one second.
okay.
He's important, so we couldn't stop without him.
Important.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
important. Okay.
That sounds good to me. All right. Go ahead and put your headphones on there.
Where do I need that? Which one?
Either one. Either one's fine. So introduce yourself.
I'm Kevin Conkin. I'm Springdale Transportation Director for Springdale Schools.
Ah, so you work for Jared, huh?
I work for Dr. Cleveland, yes, sir.
Well, I knew him when he was Jared, so that's when we started out.
I knew him when he was Jared as well.
You know, we started out in administration together and met him at First Leadership Academy. So we still see each other from time to time, actually serve on some committees together. So he's a good guy, good school guy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how long have you been at Springdale?
I've been in Springdale. This is going into my 6th year.
Okay. Education overall?
Education, I was maintenance facilities director for Paris schools, and let's just say that Dr. Cleveland was a good negotiator.
I got you. So to bring you to Northwest Arkansas, I guess from Paris, it took a lot, or it took a little.
It took a little bit because that was my hometown.
Oh, I got you.
You know, and I still have a farm there. But once that I become associated with the district, this is home to me now.
Right.
It is a wonderful school district, wonderful place, wonderful area
Right.
to work. I have a son that's in med school here.
Oh, wow.
at
Okay.
AMS.
Yeah.
And so we get to be a part of their lives, and that's what it's all about.
Oh,
is
for
Dad.
sure. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, we have a son and a daughter-in-law. He's our only, but they're both engineers. They went to the U of A, and as you well know, this area plentiful with those types of jobs. And we live in Jesseville, so we're 3 hours away. And but it's beautiful.
I like Jesseville as well. I was just through there the other day on
beautiful place.
the AAPT conference.
Yeah, and so you know this area, number one, it continues to just explode, population-wise and business opportunities. But as far as buses for you all, how many routes do you have?
Actually, so we do a staggered start.
Okay.
We had to do some, we're talking about innovative transportation funding, but we had to get innovative with our routes here in Springdale. Over COVID, we lost probably about 30 drivers, so we had to rebound from that. So what we have I have a system that we talked about in our office, which we went to, they in 2005 when they had the super growth, they went to a staggered start.
Gotcha.
So we went about 15 minutes that we have them staggered now.
Wow.
I tell people that we can get, other than our secondary, but we can get anywhere in Springdale in about 20 minutes.
Wow.
But that's just on your routing. So actually we have about 80 routes that do 3 different runs. So, we could be upwards to about
right. So
300 if you had to have a bus for every route.
Yeah, well, that's what I started to say. I mean, Springdale, how big is it square mile?
It's 270 something, I believe, square miles.
Yeah,
but a lot of it too. We have, we go all the way down to the lake. So we have a lot of area from inner city all the way out to the most rural.
Yeah, well, that's what I started to say. Even though folks look at Springdale thinking it's such urban type setting, but you guys have some pretty rural areas too.
We have some really rural areas. It's really beautiful rural areas.
Right.
Kind of like around Jesseville.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Paris.
yeah.
So so we have yes, and so we want to be effective for those students as well.
Yeah. So what's the one thing that you really love about your job? We'll end with this: that you love about your job, and then maybe, if you can, think about maybe the top issue looming for transportation.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I really love my job because I love interacting with students. I love working public service. I'm
Right,
just going
yep.
to say.
Yep.
You have to in order to do this
Oh,
job
for
in
sure.
transportation.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of times you may be famous, but it's not for the correct things.
You're right,
So,
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so we struggle. The toughest thing is to be effective to all students because
Right.
we had to stop the door-to-door
Yep.
business last year.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I want every child across the board to have equal opportunity to transportation if they so choose.
Yeah, and you're right.
And it's the toughest thing when you do not have drivers. Our district has done an amazing job with increasing salaries. I have kind of a four-step process that whenever I took over transportation, that I always said that if you take a driver and you pay them,
right,
that's going to be number one.
Oh, for
let's
sure.
face it.
Right.
And then secondly, that you work with student management.
Right.
Especially as large as we are.
Yeah.
And our district does an amazing job because all of our student management goes through our principals, somewhat myself.
Right.
And then thirdly, you have good equipment.
Yep.
You try to keep good equipment.
Right.
And fourth, you make that person feel like they're a part of something that's bigger in reality
absolutely.
for those students because
Yeah.
they are the first person
Yeah.
that the driver's the first person that child sees. And I know we say that all the time. They're the last person that they
Right.
see as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also as mandated reporters that we see those needs when
Yep.
you deliver them to that door.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's such a key position, like you're saying. I mean, it can set the tone in the morning, but it can encourage them as they go back into home, whatever that may or may not be.
Absolutely, and they see that on a one-on-one basis with these students. We pick up a lot of students at stops,
Right.
but being an administrator yourself, you
Yeah.
understand.
Oh, yes.
You know where I'm coming from.
100%, yes.
And the positivity that child has when you just say good morning with a smile may be the only smile he gets all day.
Oh, 100%. And I think about that even, from the standpoint of lunches and breakfast at school.
Absolutely.
As sad as that sounds, I mean, it's a reality that we live with every day. And so
I think I'm proud of our districts. We have the in-school clinics.
Right, yes,
here.
yeah.
The lunch programs. We have night schools. So we help provide. Even from if they need eyeglasses.
Right. Yeah. That's
we're
awesome.
here. We have
Yeah.
dentistry.
Wow.
We have 2 medical vans that we call them medical vans that we work with our coordinated school health to purchase that we take students from different campuses to our clinics to get health care. So it's a wonderful place to be in Springdale.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking time, and be sure and tell Dr. Cleveland I said hello. Okay?
I will absolutely do so. Good friend of mine.
You may have to duck when you mention my name.
No, you didn't play him in basketball.
No,
anytime or anything like that,
nothing
did you?
like that. No, he's a great guy and
Yes.
a great leader for the state of Arkansas.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good to meet you. Thank you.
Good to
Grab a
meet you.
hat on the way out if you'd like one. Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this live session of Spilling the Tea in Studio D here in Fayetteville, Arkansas at Rush Bus Company's Transportation Expo. So until next time, we'll say goodbye. We've got, I want to invite you for this next season, if you will. It will be like season 3 for us on Spilling the Tea. So we've got some excellent guests lined up. So we just hope that you guys will keep on, staying with us. And if you're interested, just reach out to us and we'll try to get you on here. Again, from Fayetteville, I'm Darren Beckwith from Spilling the Tea from Studio D. Until next time.